reflect upon a few questions. Thank you for giving some idea of what you're experiencing, so I can perhaps be more specific in terms of offering Dhamma. Question here, can person ask for some advice on how can I forgive myself? I know I should let go of the mistakes, but it's so hard. I can easily forgive others, but not myself. Yeah. Well, yeah, this is a difficult area because we can kind of rationally say, "Oh, well, that's the past; it's finished. Everybody makes mistakes. Get over it." But that doesn't actually release the unhappy feeling. This gives us some sense of distinction between the thinking mind and the emotional heart. The emotional heart doesn't follow, won't obey you. So I had to forgive myself. So experience unpleasant feeling and an emotional agitation around a memory. All this is happening in the citta. So entering the realm of the citta, you can't be reasonable. You have to be sensitive. So unpleasant feeling. Memories of behavior that now you sense is incorrect or inappropriate or disagreeable to others. Okay. Now you know that, which is good. Now to just kind of resolve the agitation. First of all, this idea of myself is a curious notion, one we all hold, of course. But myself in the past, who is myself in the past? Who was that? What happens when you think of myself in the past? What happens? You get maybe a picture, a flash of a face or an image. Yeah. Most likely what you experience is some emotional resonance. Familiar sense, that's that familiarity, an emotional mark, myself. It's not an entity, it's an emotional intensity. So what myself is not actually an entity. It's an emotional intensity. Right. Do you understand? Me. Oh, I did. Oh, he did that. Well, that's not so good. I did this. Only the temperature changes. Me. So that emotional intensity, it's not a thing. It's a quality. Quality of citta, emotional intensity. And we've got an emotional intensity that's very difficult to stay steady with. It's just too intense, it's agitating. So our practice has not to be to forgive myself, because it's not quite on the mark. It's not quite true. Now, There's emotional intensity and agitation that is not being released. It's stuck. So it's not dying down. It's stirring. And as it stirs, it brings up a thought. You did this, you did that. You know. And so, this is the problem of sensitive people. This is the kind of problem that they have. The heart is quite sensitive, so or emotional agitation, it's easily affected, it easily agitates and is emotionally disturbed, and it can't always encompass that agitation and just settle it. And then the sense of myself acts as a kind of um, a frozen impression, because that's not just the emotion, it's me. No, it's not me, it's an emotional intensity. Because there's nobody here, is there, right now? Certainly there's emotional intensity, there's feeling, there's movements, there's behaviors, there's memories, but there's no entity, there's no person there. It's just that's what's happening. So to really train the citta, train one's citta to spread wide and steady in the presence of emotional intensity, and then the quality of metta, karuna, these qualities of may this be well. I'm not going to forgive myself because there isn't a self to forgive. But there is an emotional agitation and disturbance that needs to be sensed, felt, related to, not dismissed, but not added to. And then breathing in, breathing out. It's like you're just calming the frightened creature. The important thing is not to try to get rid of it. Obviously, that's what we want to do with unpleasant. Just stop it, go away. If I did this, I could get rid of my guilt. If I did this, if I did enough good things, I would get rid of it. If I did a lot of good stuff, then I would no longer feel so bad. No, you don't get rid of it, because that doesn't work. That's more emotional intensity. So, we don't get rid of it, but we open, widen, soften, and a sense of this quality of emotional disturbance and agitation, and the sense of the unwholesomeness is common to human beings. Everyone has this. And we meet that karuna, compassion, the frailty, the vulnerability, the weakness, the confusion that we're not awakened. We're subject to ignorance. We're confused. We're heedless. That's what happens. Now, be heedful. Now, be wise. Now, be compassionate. That's what you do. You should be very careful about memory. I've noticed occasions I'm quite emotionally sensitive, and I'm prone to worry and remorse. Since I didn't do that very well, probably offended them. Oh dear, and I haven't. I've noticed occasions there was some instance a while ago, there was some sense of there was an error, some error in the Sangha procedure. And somebody said, "Well, we think you advise us to do that." I thought, "Oh, it's stupid. Why would I do that? What a stupid thing to do." I told him to do something that was completely incorrect. Oh, stupid. What an idiot. I feel really bad. Deep, drenched guilt. I could remember doing it. I must have said this and that. And then they say, "Oh, we found out it wasn't you." And my mind created a memory out of remorse. I wasn't even guilty. I was looking at this and thinking, wow, this is a real habit, you know. And then when I got into this, I started to imagine situations where maybe if I did this, I would offend somebody. So I started to feel guilty about something I hadn't even done in the future. And I used to find a problem with this. They wanted, remember, this is quite a common problem. I find it very difficult to go shopping. Somebody wants to take me to a shop and get me something. And also, that I'll offend people if I don't accept it. So I went to the shoe shop. They wanted to put me some boots walking on. And they said, "How's this? Does it fit?" I said, "Yeah, it's okay." I thought, because I didn't want to disappoint the salesman. So I got these boots 2 sizes too small for me. Feet crushed into blisters because I didn't want to offend the salesperson by saying no. Uh, you're kind of like, this is a bit inaccurate, really. So just getting a sense of that emotional sensitivity is okay, but it can get distorted, and we're very easy to find fault. Most of us very easy to find fault. What? Oh, I said this. Did you? I don't even remember it. This happens a lot for me, because I think people want to feel they're doing the right thing and being respectful and appropriate. And I'm just, fine, okay. Then, "Oh, I'm sorry, Ajahn." "What?" "I'm sorry." "What for?" "Well, when you came in, I didn't pay respects." "Oh, well, I didn't even notice it, Well, so this thing. So clearly we want to have some sense of clarity about what we're doing. And yet, really, you don't want to be constantly haunted by the fear of making mistakes. Yeah. And if you can't make a mistake, say, "Oh, that was clumsy. Okay, better next time." Rather than, "Oh no, wretched, stupid, idiot, heedless, unworthy," rather than going to this kind of emotional cycle. So then you have to train yourself how to make a mistake and just know it's that and leave it there. Okay. And of course, if we feel we offended others, we can always say, you know, "Sorry, apologize if I've been offended." That's it, really. Easy to forgive others, but then, to forgive yourself, partly because there isn't a self to forgive. But whatever occurs in the heart is intimate, is emotionally intense. That is myself, becomes myself. And if we can, we can work upon it and release that, myself disappears. That's the project in a way. Not because there's something wrong with the self, it's just it's an illusion that causes all kinds of problems. Arrogance, uh, selfishness, possessiveness, Yeah. Discrimination, bias, yeah. Anxiety about myself. It's a real uh, trying to get rid of something that's actually there, but to end suffering. And this thing, this tendency to create a self, it's called upadana, clinging. That has to be understood and relaxed, released. So we, as I said, we cling to suffering. We cling to our imperfections as clinging to imperfections. Very profound because some sense of I should be something other than this. And then myself again. So no, there's behavior, unskillful, has to be understood. The source of unskillful behavior has to be understood. Craving took over, recklessness took over. There was an absence of mindfulness. That has to be understood. Now, having understood it, the Buddha said, we consider it is great progress to understand a transgression. We consider this to be progress. That's how we learn. You don't learn anything, you're just stuck. Bear with the feeling and see if you can, as you steady just the unpleasant feeling without trying to push it away. And just like it's something bruised or damaged, kind of metta karuna to that feeling rather than emotional agitation around it. This is the more correct way of responding. Person asks or questions, I don't usually experience deep samadhi. In the past days, there's much stillness in the sitting to the point the body feels heavy, grounded. It doesn't feel like moving. Is this the right direction? And how to progress or proceed from there? Well, your body feels grounded, doesn't feel like moving. Mm-hmm. So that's ability, isn't it? Probably does. It's enjoying it. So, do we know we don't need to go anywhere from there? But if that experience is happening, and it feels skillful, you can linger in it and you can explore it gently, like what's happening? How is this? Can I relax more into it? Can I, in this situation, what is absent? Is craving absent? Is ill will absent? Doubt, is that absent? Notice what's not there and feel the joy, not just from the stillness, but the absence of unwholesome or distracting factors. In a way, the absence is more important than the presence. Because what we're aiming for is not a state, but a release from states. If this is a support for the release from agitation, uh, grasping, craving, ignorance, then great, sadhu. We must be careful with any state that's unusual and agreeable that the clinging doesn't get hold of it. Oh, I'm this. I have this. Oh, I am this now. Yeah. So this sense of, it's not so much an intellectual inquiry, it's almost like a feeling it out. There's no doubt. Uh, so we want to kind of move towards ending of unwholesome or distracting conditions without grasping a favorable condition. So then we allow the favorable condition, allow the citta to linger in it and be strengthened and fed by that. It's very comforting sometimes to recognize that you can. It can happen. Mm. It can happen. What brought that around? Do you know? Mm. Do you know what conditions, what happened to bring that around? What didn't happen? Yeah. So, of course, it's when we're clinging, then I want to have more of this. I want to have this again. Then this is a mistake. Mm. But it can be these conditions, when I've cultivated those, they led to this. So then there's a learning of wisdom about the process rather than just holding on to the state. In order to develop sati, we should come out of thoughts or thinking. Isn't that attempt to come out of thoughts? Isn't that attempt thinking? So, person says that to develop sati and mindfulness, we should come out of thoughts and thinking. But isn't that movement to come out, isn't that a kind of thought? Or even that idea, I should come out of thinking, that's a thought. Yeah. This could get very complicated. Because maybe I shouldn't think about thinking. But that's another one. Actually, thought is supposed to be support for mindfulness. So I've mentioned it, vitaka vichara. Vitaka, it's quite simple thought. It's just place, that's that. So then, because mindfulness means a particular theme, and it could be sustaining your awareness of your breathing. It could be sustaining an idea, holding an idea, or a prayer, or an aspiration. Mindfully, I determine to sustain the quality of metta. So it means it holds it. But then some decision has to occur over what to sustain, what to put mindfulness on. And this is the topic of what's called yoniso manasikara, or deep or penetrative attention. So called a factor of wisdom. So this isn't worthwhile giving much attention. This is going nowhere useful. Don't think about that. This is directly addictive. Don't think about that. This is useful. So yoniso manasikara kind of touches into experience. And how's that? So it requires a little bit of thought. What's that? How is that? No. This is just excitement. No good. So thought then, in this case, is a conditioned support for wisdom. We're able to discern and discriminate. This is worth being mindful of. What does it mean to be mindful of? Is you sustain it. means you drift off it. Wait, remember, trying to be with this. Okay. Where is it? There. Where's your breathing? There. How is it? Slightly rough. What does it need? If I could just relax a little. Oh, yes, if I open my chest, that's better. Yeah. So this is all vitaka vichara. So it's a kind of thought that's quite disciplined, and purposeful and pointful. Now, this is distinct from discursive thought, which means it's just rambling and obsessive. Yeah. So this isn't so much the thought. Thought's just a thing like it's just something that the mind does. That's okay. But it's when the heart starts fashioning, craving, fantasy, obsessiveness, then the thought process goes wild. You know, it's like you're putting the wrong fuel in the engine. It starts to just churn, churn, and churn. So it's not really the mind, the thinking mind, that's the problem. It's the heart, which gets obsessive, frightened, vindictive, aggressive, lustful, jealous. These are stains of the heart. And then that fuel, that energy, that emotional push starts activating the mind. The mind then starts concocting notions, ideas. You know? And some of this is not even deliberate. Now, when we get to things that are more or less instinctive, then instinctive. I want to feel steady. I want to feel secure. You know, so every creature does this. Every creature wants to feel secure and wants to feel happy, comfortable. Yeah. And the first, most important is secure, because if that wolf is coming my way, it's most important not to feel comfortable, but to start running. Security comes first. Even if it means I've got to break into a sweat and struggle to get away, I'm going to get away, you know, that comes first. So it's the first thing, security. So now we're not so much threatened by other creatures. We're threatened by each other, of course. You know, but still that security is not just physical, it's also about can I guarantee the future? What will it be? Yeah. Am I okay? Then self-image. Am I okay? Am I not okay? So anxiety comes in, trembling, and thinking mind starts to create something for the heart to hold on to. Creates a kind of reality that the heart can hold on to and feel, yeah, I've got something to hold on to, even if it's not very pleasant. You know, it creates a story. When we get involved with the story, and it gives us something to feed on. You know? So we want to come out not so much of thinking, so much as the emotional habit of seeking security or comfort in thinking. That's not what thinking is about. Thinking is just about definition. Comfort and security have to be established not in thinking, but when thinking says, go there, don't ask me, you go there. You go to things that are more reliable than me, such as Breathing in, breathing out. That's pretty guaranteed. Yeah. Feeling your feet on the ground. That's fairly secure. Come into the present, give up the future and the past. Present moment is definitely here. Future we just don't know. Okay. And then place your heart in the qualities that are comfortable and stable, such as goodwill and ethical clarity. I feel stable, I feel secure, I feel comfortable. I'm free from remorse, I'm free from doubt, I'm free from aversion, I feel comfortable. I'm free from anxiety, I'm free from jealousy, I'm free from covetousness, I feel comfortable. I feel comfortable not because of what's there, but because of what's not there. And this is a kind of training, because normally the instinct, I feel comfortable because I get one of these. Or if I get one of those, I'll feel happy. And then the mind is always reaching out, something outside. And whatever you get, you have to lose. Because if it's come in, it's going to fade out. So, but what you've already got here, what's given, you tune into it, you don't have to lose it. You don't have to lose truthfulness. And truthfulness gives me a sense of self-respect, and I'm comfortable with that. The sense of deception, uh, deceiving people, that twisted feeling, that's gone. Yeah. Sense of shame, that's gone. Yeah. That's gone. Sense of restlessness, that's gone. The absence of these things is my joy. Mm. So then, of course, thinking also says, hey, notice that, get it? So thinking can take you in to the process, investigate. Also, thinking says, I see what's happened, make a note so you can remember it. That's how you learn. You build up wisdom like that. Thinking takes you in, and thinking notices what's present, what's absent, and thinking remembers it. So then it can act as a guardian and a guide. But of course, in that process, you don't want to be thinking all the time. You think a little bit and then listen. How's that? How does it feel? Think again. What's that? How does it feel? Then enjoy. No thinking. And then happy, steady now. Investigate. How does this feel? Remember it. How did this come here? How did you arrive at this state? Remember it. So you see, there's that weaving between thought and feeling, between mano, thinker, thinking mind, chitta, the feeling heart, and weaving together. Then as a partnership, they build up deep wisdom, and wisdom that takes you towards the end of suffering. Generally speaking, is there a difference in Buddhist approach to emotional, psychological pain and physical pain? Well, the approach is measured in accordance with an understanding of what's possible. And the understanding is physical pain is inevitable. There is, you can get respite from it, you can get breaks, but there'll always be some degree of physical discomfort. Yeah. Mm. So this means we have to learn, okay, patience and then recognizing, sometimes physical pain corresponds to the body being damaged. That's why it's painful. So therefore, don't damage the body. So your approach will be like that. You will always have pain sooner or later. So the idea that you could just dismiss it is a fantasy, really. You can suppress it and you can ignore it. You put your mind somewhere else. Uh-oh. Then you try to stand up and what happened there? So this can happen. That's why it's good to not go out of the body altogether, because you might act without really knowing it, because you're somewhere else. So you don't want to damage this body. So your attitude towards physical pain is then, it's uncomfortable. Well, that bit's uncomfortable. It's not critical, it's just uncomfortable. Therefore, why don't I bring my attention to parts of the body that are comfortable or not painful, dwell upon that. So, yeah, his leg is a little bit stiff, but I don't think it's in danger. Let's just abide in the chest or the belly and maybe spread some relaxing energy towards that place that's stiff. If it starts to get more acute, you think, wait a minute, I think I better do something. So you work like this. And when it's minor discomforts, just the stiffness of the body and so forth, they can dissolve through correct meditation, through proper samatha, calming, soothing. The nerves relax, the muscles relax, you feel less stiff. It can also be the case that the quality of agreeable emotional heart feeling is so good that you don't really notice these little twinges and aches. That's okay. Towards emotional pain, now it's possible to dispel emotional pain. So you can eliminate or release emotional pain, and I've described that process in dealing with guilt, for example, which is very painful. You go to what an emotion is. You see, it's three things, not one thing. It's the feeling, unpleasant. This is called Vedana, and it's the perception. Oh, I did this, or that's the memory. It's called sanya. So that emotional pain, she hates me, I'm a failure, whatever. That's a perception, sanya. And so that, and then you get sankhara, which is this emotional stirring, and the three go together. So the sanya, the emotional, the perception, he did this, she's like that, they don't like me, whatever. That's the perception that touches, and you get the unpleasant feeling comes with it, and then the sankhara goes, ooh, starts vibrating and getting agitated, and it stirs things up. Stirring things up, we get more and more unsteady, more emotional pain. I feel really overwhelmed with all this. So then things start to get quite unsteady. It's also painful, uncomfortable. So it goes on. And then then often this emotional unsteadiness, the chitta reaches out and keeps returning to this perception. So we keep doing it again and again and again, keep loading this perception back into the chitta. It's already overwhelmed. So things get really destabilized and people get flooded with it. And as you know, people kill themselves, not because of physical pain. Primarily, it's emotional, psychological pain. depression, anxiety, self-hatred, so on. So it's deadly, because when the citta loses stability, it feels like, why continue living? This is hell. And so, so the approach to this is to take it very seriously. Body, you can do so much with. This one is really important, and you can release it. First thing, when you're trying to practice, this is not a person. This is a quality that's arising. If you let go of the me bit, get the me out of the picture, it takes some of the intensity out of it. This is just like a disease taking over. It's not an identity, it's a disease. Okay, let's be then you get a sense of viveka. It's now an object rather than me. It's a disease that's happening to me. It's not me. Okay, viveka. Now, a little bit. So instead of the increasing emotional intensity that comes with self, there's a bit more dispassion. This is a disease. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, take that perception out, because that just keeps dripping poison into it. Yeah. This sankhara, agitating, stirring, that just keeps blurring everything. What's it? The base of it is the unpleasant feeling, unpleasant happening, unpleasant feeling, emotional feeling. Emotional feeling becomes me, and therefore it becomes intense. Now, what if it's just pain in the heart? Like everybody gets it. What does it feel like? Pain, stabbing, turning, pressurizing. And then just open awareness around it. And if we can generate that patience and that openness to let a feeling be felt as a feeling and not as a person, it doesn't get fed. Yeah? You see, feeling depends upon contact. Something is touching. Feeling depends upon something touching the citta. Now, if you're not dropping perception into it, if you're not stirring it up, the citta is not getting the contact that generates the feeling. Okay? So then the feeling kind of throbs and begins to fade because it's not getting fed. That's how you deal with emotional, psychological pain. It's not whose fault is it. It's not there's something wrong with me. These are irrelevant at this particular point. Yeah. Why did it get here? That's kind of beside the point. The Buddha said, if somebody shoots you with an arrow, you don't say, who shot me and why. You just pull the arrow out. Then you figure out who and why afterward. So that's the arrow of feeling, the Vedana. And, it requires continual contact to get it going. So someone asked, citta versus mind. Can you please explain? I think I've kind of talked some of this through already, really. So mano creates objects which are just measurements. It's like a sketch penciled in. That's a man, that's a woman, that's a tree, that's a dog. Citta says, oh, nice. Oh, dangerous. Oh, beautiful. Oh, reminds me of her. Oh, citta does the feeling resonating quality, to work. So mano is just presents an object. Citta creates the subject. I am feeling this. So it becomes much more alive in you, for good and for bad. So citta has to be trained so that good things come alive in us.